my alphas. You feel it now, don't you? That slow, simmering power rising in your chest, not given, not borrowed, but forged from the fire they tried to bury you in. They thought you were blind. They thought you were dumb. They looked you dead in the eye, spoke in riddles, played their weak games behind curtains of deception. And all the while, you stood silent, still, watching, smiling, because deep down, you knew. You knew everything. Every plot, every whisper, every false handshake coated in venom. You let them perform, you let them prance and cackle like fools under the false moonlight of their own illusions. But you waited, you learned, and now they realize. Now the mask drops. Now they look foolish. Let them squirm, let their smirks twist into grimaces as their once certain voices crack. Watch them flounder, trying to stitch together the shattered remnants of their schemes, while you, the one they underestimated, remain unmoved. They told stories about you, didn't they? Crafted their little narratives, painted you with colors of meekness, of ignorance, of insignificance. But now the truth is oozing out from under the floorboards, crawling up the walls, seeping into the rooms they once ruled with smugness. Now they see it. Your eyes were never shut. You saw them, all of them. And what's more frightening than an enemy who watches and says nothing? What's more terrifying than the one who listens while pretending not to hear? That's the monster they created. That's the storm they mocked until it broke the sky. You are that silence that screams, that calm before a war not fought with fists, but with absolute domination of every flaw they never thought you'd notice. You are the ghost in their memory now, and every time they remember their arrogance, they'll remember you. Let the world call it revenge, but you know better. This is not about vengeance, it is about revelation. Truth delivered not in a whisper, but in the thunder of your rise. This is what power looks like when it has waited patiently, matured in the shadows, unbothered by their ridicule. This is what it means to be inevitable. You're not here to make them pay. You're here to prove that they were never even playing the same game. They were chasing coins while you were mapping kingdoms. They were counting pawns while you were already seated beside the throne. Every time they laughed, they fueled the fire. Every condescending glance, every backhanded compliment, every moment they dismissed you, only sharpened your blade. And now, the blade does not tremble in your hands. It sings. It hums with purpose, with precision. This is not blind rage. This is calculated, unshakable resolve. They look at you now, desperate to rewrite the past, to excuse, to justify, to twist your clarity into something ugly. But it's too late, because the moment their masks fell, the mirror they refused to face showed them everything they tried to hide. And in that mirror, they saw you, the one who knew all along. The look in their eyes now, that wide, desperate panic, is priceless. It's not just fear, it's recognition. They see what you are, what you've always been. And more than that, they see what they are. Frauds, pretenders, noise dressed up as strategy. They thought they had time, thought they were in control. But time doesn't serve the arrogant. It serves the focused, the aware, the waiting. You were never behind them. You were beneath, watching their feet fumble in the dark, counting every misstep while they boasted from rooftops. They called your silence weakness. Let them call it that again. Let them try to rewrite the narrative. But even if they shout until their lungs give out, they cannot outrun what's coming. You. Not with noise, not with panic, not with their desperate rebranding of lies. The truth has arrived, wearing your face. It doesn't knock. It kicks in the door, draped in the cloak of everything they chose to ignore. Now, they're the ones trying to stay quiet. Now, they're the ones avoiding your gaze, as if hiding will make it hurt less. But no, you see them. You still see them. And worse, you understand them now. The same people who once dismissed your presence now cower in your silence. Their words don't land anymore. Their tricks have dulled. Their laughter has dried. They feel small, not because you shrunk them, but because they finally stand in the shadow of something real. You didn't need to shout to be heard. You didn't need to prove anything. You simply let time work its magic. And now, time belongs to you. This moment belongs to you. Their confusion, their regret, their unraveling composure, yours. The world doesn't reward the loud, it rewards the aware. And you are always watching, always calculating, always steps ahead. Now they see it. Too late, but clearly. And clarity has a price. Let them pay it. Let them feel every ounce of what they thought they'd never have to face. The truth is not gentle. It is not polite. It does not knock. It invades. And now it sits on your shoulders like a crown, forged in silence and sharpened by memory. You do not need applause. You don't need recognition. You have something far more satisfying, the knowledge that they know, that they finally, truly know. And oh, how foolish they look. Let them stew in that silence, in that suffocating, echoing silence where your voice used to be. Let them pace, wondering where it all went wrong when they lost control, never realizing they never had it. That was the illusion they clung to like children holding on to bedtime stories. And like children, they believed in their fantasies more than they believed in you. That was their first mistake. Their last mistake was not realizing you'd been writing the ending the whole time. You didn't need their approval. You didn't beg for space. You didn't plead to be seen. You let them look away. You allowed them to dismiss you. Because you knew, one day, they'd turn around and realize they had been standing on a trapdoor of their own design. You've become the storm they never predicted, the reckoning they pretended couldn't come. And the beauty? You didn't rise through tantrums. You didn't need chaos. You walked through their noise with steady steps, gathering everything they thought was beneath notice, every insult, every overlook, every snide remark, trophies now. They fed the fire and didn't even notice the smoke until the flames licked their feet. And now, all they can do is scramble while you stand untouched, forged in the pressure they mistook for passivity. It's not just that you knew, it's that you let them carry on. That's what kills them the most. The realization that all their efforts to manipulate, dominate, and humiliate, all of it unfolded under your calm gaze. You weren't fooled. You weren't broken. You played along, not out of fear, but out of focus. That long game patience, that's what they'll never understand, because they think in seconds. You think in lifetimes. They build temporary empires with paper walls. You carve your kingdom out of stone, in silence. You were not asleep. You were storing energy. You were not silent out of weakness. You were silent out of strategy. The difference? Results. Look at them now. Look how quickly their arrogance is withered, their egos crumbling like sand castles against a rising tide. That tide is you, the patient observer, you, the quiet architect, you, the one they never saw coming, because you never needed to be seen. That's the secret of true power. It does not beg, it waits. And when it arrives, it doesn't knock. They thought they had time to outmaneuver you. They thought they could lead the narrative, control the tempo, keep you chasing. But they never understood. They were never the authors. They were characters in a story you already knew the ending to. That's what scorches them now. The realization that you were never behind. You were never below. You were the one allowing them the illusion of victory. And when you decided it was time, game over. No fanfare, no drama, just a quiet shift, a moment, a look, and their whole world shattered. Now they sit in rooms they no longer feel comfortable in, with titles that don't sound as secure as they used to. Every laugh they forced at your expense now echoes back at them like ghosts in the walls. Every lie they told now sticks in their throat. Because they know you knew every damn step, and you didn't scream, you didn't beg, you didn't even retaliate. You just endured, grew, prepared. And now, the silence they once mocked is their enemy. You are not just revenge, you are a reminder. A walking monument to the danger of underestimating the quiet ones. You don't need to yell to be heard now. Your existence is the statement. Your presence is the proof. And your smile, that calm, knowing smile, that's what haunts them. Because it tells them, without words, that this was always the plan. That they were never in control. That you held the strings they danced on, even as they ridiculed you. Let them remember. Let them lie awake with eyes wide open, reliving moments where they could have seen the truth, if only they hadn't been so full of themselves. Let the weight of realization sit heavy in their bones, because nothing burns more than realizing you were seen, truly seen, by someone you thought beneath you, that you were understood by the one you dismissed, that you were studied like a map by the one you tried to erase. And now, you've become the storm system that rewrites their weather forever. They'll try to rewrite history, of course, pretend they weren't shaken, pretend they always respected you, but it's too late. The truth is tattooed in the fear behind their eyes. They know. And you know they know. That's enough. You don't need to expose them. They expose themselves. Their collapse is not your victory. Your stillness is. Your focus is. The fact that you remained you, unbent, unbroken, while they frantically changed. Masks, that's the crown. That's the prize. Their chaos proves your calm. Their noise highlights your clarity. And now, they whisper about you in rooms you once sat silently in. Now they warn others about the quiet ones. Now they watch you with guarded respect and cautious admiration, because they don't understand you, and that terrifies them. You've become a presence, a warning, a myth. Not because you shouted, but because you never needed to, because you knew. And knowing, my alphas, is the weapon no one sees until it's too late. So let them stew. Let them look foolish. They earned it. With every mocking smile, with every condescending pat on the back, with every time they talked over you, around you, through you, they earned this reckoning. Not from anger, not from wrath, but from truth. A truth sharpened in the dark and released in silence. You are not the villain in this story. You are not the underdog. You are the constant, the force, the inevitable. They played short games. You built legacies. And now they realize. Now they kneel. Not to beg, not to ask, but because their legs can no longer hold the weight of their delusions. You didn't break them. Their own lies did. You were simply the mirror. And that's the cruel beauty, isn't it? They realize you knew all along. Now they look foolish. My alphas. Feel this power now, not in the fists, but in the marrow. Let it pulse. Let it crackle beneath your skin, like something ancient finally remembering itself. Because now that the masks have dropped, now that the lights have flickered off and the crowd is scattered, what remains? You, towering in the aftermath, not because you crushed them, but because you endured them, and not for a moment, not briefly or accidentally. Number. You endured with purpose, with poise, with eyes wide open and mouth sealed shut, the way only kings in waiting do. They used to mock your silence because it threatened their noise. They called it weakness because they feared its depth. But you knew. You saw through them like smoke, watched them cloak mediocrity in volume, dress up cowardice as confidence. And still, you waited, not because you were behind, but because you were before all of this, before them, before the fake applause. You were already building something beneath the surface where no one dared to look. They laughed at your stillness, not knowing still water runs deepest, and deepest water. It drowns everything, and now the tides have shifted. The same people who claim to lead now look around for direction. You see it in their eyes, that flicker of doubt, that twitch in the corner of their mouth when you enter a room, because they remember, not just what they did, but that you knew, that you always knew. They remember the smirks they shared behind closed doors, the fake praise wrapped in pity, the little games they played to keep you in your place. And now, their place feels unstable. Because you've moved, you've risen, not suddenly, not noisily, but like a mountain, undeniable and unmoved. There's no panic in you, only precision, only knowing. And that knowing, it cuts deeper than any revenge. Because now, when they speak your name, they do so with caution. Now, when they think of you, they think of their own foolishness, of all the red flags they ignored, of every moment they could have shown respect, but chose ego instead. And the irony, they thought they were hiding something from you. But all along, you were the one collecting truths, quietly, thoroughly. And now you carry them, not like burdens, but like weapons. They underestimated your memory, but you didn't forget. You don't forget. Every smirk, every sideways glance, every little attempt to reduce you, it's all stored, not for bitterness, not for rage, but for awareness. They thought they were above you because they couldn't see you. But that was the trick, wasn't it? You didn't need to be seen to exist. You didn't need recognition to be real. You became undeniable, not because they lifted you up, but because you rose without their permission. And now they know. Now they feel it. You walk different, not with arrogance, but with certainty. You speak less, not from fear, but from mastery. And when you do speak, the room shifts, not because your voice is loud, but because it's final, because it carries weight, truth, history, the kind that makes liars sweat and cowards shrink. They used to try to silence you, hoping if they talked enough, your presence would shrink. But now they grow quiet in your shadow, hoping to not be reminded of who they used to be when they thought you were beneath them. But let them remember. Let every breath they take around you remind them of their error. Let them feel the chill of having misjudged something ancient, something feral, something divine. That's what you are now, not just powerful, but prophetic. You didn't just survive their doubt, you thrived inside it, like fire under pressure, like roots under stone. And now you've broken through the surface, towering above the ruins of their ego, and you never raised a hand. You just were. Let that be the lesson. Let your existence be the echo that never leaves them. You don't need revenge when you are the consequence. You don't need justice when your presence is justice manifest. You didn't out-talk them, you outlasted them, you didn't outshine them, you burned from within. And now, no spotlight can compete with that kind of radiance. The kind they can't fake, the kind they can't explain, the kind that comes only from having seen too much, felt too deeply, and still remained unbroken. My alphas, they thought your silence was empty, but it was full of strategy, full of truth, full of power so dense it terrified them. And now that silence wraps around them like a noose, tightens around every false narrative they built, and there's no escaping it, not anymore. Because you didn't just know, you understood. You didn't just see, you remembered. You didn't just wait, you became. You became what they never had the courage to imagine. And now they look foolish, not just because they lost, but because they never had a chance. Because you were never playing their game. You were building your own board, setting your own rules. While they were focused on applause, you were focused on legacy. While they danced in shallow puddles, you were swimming in the dark ocean of truth. And now, that tide has risen, and you are the storm above it. Let them talk, let them scramble, let them pretend they were never cruel, that they never doubted you, that they always believed. But you know better. You knew all along. That is your victory. That is your power. That is the anthem sung in the silence after their empire of whispers collapsed. So hold your head high, not in spite of them, but because of them. Every word they threw, every doubt they cast, every trap they laid, they only sharpened you, refined you, sculpted you into something unrecognizable to their shallow eyes. And now, they don't see a version of you they can manipulate. They see the real you, the eternal you, the one who waited in the dark and emerged as something greater than anything they could comprehend. Ah, my alphas, smile. They realized you knew all along. Now they look foolish. Ah, yes. Now they look foolish. But it doesn't stop there, does it? Because when fools are exposed, they don't simply fade away. Number. They flail. They grasp. They dig deeper into delusion, trying to salvage pride from the wreckage they created. Watch them now, scrambling to explain the cracks in their facade. Listen to how their voices change, how their words bend to make space for the truth they once laughed at. Because now that truth has teeth, and it's biting back. They try to rewrite the narrative. That's always their move. They paint themselves as misunderstood, as misled, as victims of circumstance. They say, I didn't know, when they knew. They say, I didn't mean it like that, when they meant every word. They say, you took it wrong, when you took it exactly as it was given. But let them try. Let them spin the tale. Because you, my alpha, have no need to scream the truth. You embody it. And that embodiment is a curse on their comfort, a scar across their story, a loud silence that follows them into every room where your name is mentioned. You don't have to expose them anymore. They do it themselves, every time they speak around you, trying to sound wise in the presence of someone who actually is. Every time they try to lead, knowing deep down they never had direction. And the more they try to save face, the more it contorts. Because fear has replaced arrogance, because guilt has replaced ignorance, because now every lie they told about you unravels, thread by thread, under the weight of undeniable proof. The proof is in your eyes. The proof is in your calm. The proof is in the way the room listens when you speak and forgets them when they shout. They spent so long performing for each other. They built false thrones in echo chambers. And now, outside the show, under the weight of real consequence, they realize they're not kings. They're clowns. Clowns who mocked the wolf until it stopped pretending to be a sheep. And still, you do not lower yourself. That's what breaks them even more. You don't throw stones. You don't seek revenge. You simply exist above them now. And that quiet superiority, that earned elevation, is far more damning than any public takedown. Because nothing destroys a fraud more completely than standing next to the real thing. And and you are the real thing. They try to rally others to their side, but no one believes them anymore. Because while they were busy talking, you were busy doing. While they were building illusions, you were building a legacy. And now, your work speaks, your presence testifies, your silence is sacred, and all their noise just sounds like panic in the distance. They don't understand how you survived without their approval, how you thrived without their handouts, how you stayed grounded while they tried to shake you. That's what burns them now, because they need validation like air. But you breathe different. You carry your own atmosphere. You don't just walk into rooms, you shift the gravity. And every time they catch your name whispered with respect, every time they see your shadow stretch longer than theirs, they remember. You knew, you always knew, and you were never the one at risk. They were. Because the moment someone like you stops tolerating the game, the board flips. The rules change, the pieces reset. You are the game now, and they know it. They know that when they pushed you down, you didn't just get back up, you got up stronger. You didn't return to the same spot. You returned higher, wiser, sharper. Their failure wasn't just misjudging your strength, it was misjudging your mind, your restraint, your patience. They didn't understand that real power doesn't rush, it doesn't panic, it doesn't need to be loud. And now, the quiet haunts them. Every silence from you is loaded. Every word from you is lethal. Because you don't speak to prove anymore. You speak to end conversations. You don't engage in battles. You end wars. This is not about proving your worth. This is about letting them witness what it costs to ignore someone who was built for more. You are not here to beg for seats at tables that couldn't hold your weight. You are here to build temples, thrones, galaxies. They dreamed small. You dream forever. Let them tell their stories. Let them pretend they were always on your side. It doesn't matter now. Their chapters are done. Their relevance is expired. You moved on. And the truth is, they didn't just lose the game. They lost access to the kingdom. That's what stings them most. Not that you rose, but that you rose without them. That you made it despite them. That you knew all along, and still, you never needed them to know back. And now they'd give anything to go back, to take you seriously, to treat you with the respect you now command. But time doesn't rewind, it only remembers. And memory is cruel to the foolish. And oh, how foolish they look now, fumbling for relevance in a world where you are already 3 moves ahead, trying to catch your light when you became the sun, trying to write your ending when you're already writing empires. They no longer have a say in your story. That's the true cost of underestimation. They didn't just doubt you, they disqualified themselves from the future you were always destined for. And now, they watch from the sidelines, mouthing lines from a script they're no longer part of. You are not their enemy. You are their reckoning. You are not their punishment. You are their consequence. You are not the villain. You are the verdict. And as they finally come to terms with that, as their pride peels away like paint under pressure, you do not gloat. You do not taunt. You do not descend to their level. You ascend. Because true strength is never satisfied with revenge. It is fulfilled only in purpose. And you have purpose now. Sharp, clear, blinding. Let them talk. Let them gossip. Let them fear. You are too far ahead for their noise to touch you. Their world is too small for your vision now. Their opinion, a whisper in a stadium. Their power, a flicker in your rising dawn. Let them look foolish. Let them live with it. Because you looked patient. You looked quiet. You looked still. But all along, you were planning. And now, you have arrived. So let this be the end they never saw coming. Not because you shouted it, but because you became it. Let them look foolish, not from malice, but from exposure. Because your success was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving yourself right. You don't carry the weight of what they said. You carry the weight of what you knew. And now, that knowing has transformed into a force so pure, so untouchable, so far beyond them, that they're no longer even worthy of your anger. Let them dwell in regret. Let them wear the mask of humility they once refused. Let them bow, not an apology, but an acknowledgement, the kind that comes too late to matter. And you keep rising, you keep walking, you keep building, because they realized you knew all along, and now they look foolish. And you look like destiny fulfilled.